Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Impossible Puzzles Show. It's episode 92. I'm joined by Yawar Abbas, but he has changed his name to Longtrepreneur. Oh my
No,
God,
so
what the?
actually, so Yawar Abbas is my actual name, but my company is called Entrepreneur. So it was like entrepreneurship is a long-term endurance marathon, long-term game. And I have many stories that I could tell you about today about long-term perseverance, endurance, so yeah, looking forward to this.
The stories are about to become. If only I had more popcorn next to me. But I have my water, my
Yeah,
microphone.
I also have my water
We
too.
have our H2O.
Yeah.
Before we jump in some of these stories, what about who are you and what are you all about?
Sure. So I'm Yawar. I live on the east end of Toronto, and I have been in Canada since 2003. Um, did a lot of things, work-wise, social things-wise, and yeah, this is my first ever podcast I'm doing. So I'm not too well polished for this stuff, even though usually I'm the one interviewing people for Long Entrepreneur Media platform, but today the roles have been reversed.
Oh,
And
haha,
mm,
journalist and post journalistic. And I did some
yeah,
cyber stalking. I was on your website. I see you've been interviewing Susan Kamadi and who else? Raid Latif and Chris Carter. Oh, he's a great Canadian guy. And Neil Grunberg, a venture capitalist, and Lisa Dolan. Oh, you have been getting around. You on your website,
yeah.
longtrepreneur.com. I've stalked you. Ha
I actually,
ha! Sorry.
yes, I actually interviewed the CEO of Pizza Pizza as well, Paul Goddard, and it's a very funny story as to how I got in touch with him. So Naman Bideo and Chris Carter and Paul Goddard are common friends essentially, and they all know each other from the entrepreneurship business community in Toronto. So when I published an interview of Naman Badeo on LinkedIn, Paul Goddard had commented saying, "Oh, this is a really great story published by me." So I'm like, "Great!" So when I saw Paul Goddard in the comments, I'm like, "Okay, I need to get to him." And then it was about almost a few months time, which it took me to do back and forth with him for booking because he's always traveling. So um, it's kind of him that he took some time out for me and to do the interview. And yeah, I mean, people have been kind, and because when you start out with no connections, no family background, it's difficult. But I still managed to get a few things done, and people were kind enough with their time that they wanted to relay what they had learned. And in my interviews that I
Interesting.
do, I never ask questions about market cap or valuations or net worth. I think that's just absolute useless because people want to be remembered for the stories that they have lived through, as opposed to this me asking them headline questions like, "Hey, what is your net worth?" or "How much, you know, green bags you make a month?"
How many dead
I'll,
how many dead queens are in the back are in your jeans that you're sitting on right now, in your wallet? How
yeah,
many dead presidents have fallen from the sky into
yeah.
your
So I'm
TD
like, I'll just
bank
leave
account?
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'll just leave all that to the TikTokers and the so-called influencers and the gurus. No, I'll just stick to my long form content. And I stayed off of Instagram and TikTok because the crowd is very different on these platforms. And someone like and the CEOs and venture capitalists that I interview, they're not scrolling mindlessly for an hour on their phones. They're LinkedIn finding deals and finding connections, or like their head of talent at their VC funds are looking for talent to hire or putting thought leadership out there. So I only stuck to LinkedIn, and I have not spent a single dollar marketing or on growth ads to build my audience. I have 640 642 followers on LinkedIn. All of them are organic. I have not done any like
You're
boost post.
not illegally, you're not spamming people with connection requests or using AI
No,
tools to
no,
connect. You
nothing.
are
People
raw.
read content and this and I mean, it's like
Interesting.
I lose some followers along the way. I gain some, but I never like do post because that dilutes the the actual audience. But like the audience that I do have, they're like executives or like or CEOs of venture capitalists or large or founders of large companies, and
Yes.
they're and their heads of media or the head of communications are the ones that like are pretty much calling the shots on the schedule. One thing I do want to tell you today, perhaps you can relate to your audience, is a lot of times people discount the executive assistants or office managers, saying, "Hey, oh, I'm not going to go through them," but you have to make an ally out of them because I'll tell you a story. So Susan
Yeah.
Kumari, who's the head of media, or at least she's an executive now, but at the time. Uh, she is the one who pretty much championed Faisal Behlul for 8 months for me. Like, hey, we need to get the questions answered for Yawar and the entrepreneur and give it to him. It was the first time I messaged him until the time I published his interview on December 28th of 2025 last year. It took exact 8 months and a few days. So that was the longest like thing, and
Wow.
Susan really like held the line for me, and I send my questions to the potential guests, and they actually like write down answers themselves, which is very kind of them that they do it because they're busy people. But they're like, well, if we could take 1 month or 2 months to sit down and write the answers down, it gives them enough time because I'm not rushing them. No one's saying, hey, you have to be on a podcast or a live interview for 45 minutes. So these executives take 3 weeks, 4 weeks, even 2 months sometimes to respond back. And I think office managers and executive assistants are more powerful than the CEOs themselves because executive assistants are the ones saying, "Hey, we need
We
to
need
contact this guy. We
this.
talk to him."
Yeah.
So I like and like look and I fundamentally believe that people's stories who are behind the scenes they never get out get out front.
Yeah.
So I actually did a story on Susan Kamadi as well because I thought she was an excellent, executive in her own right, and
Yes.
it was my honor to relay her story because I don't think many people would, like people most people brush off people with that title, and I think that
You're
everyone
so right.
everyone
You're I'm just chiming in and saying here. Here we're talking almost like behind the scenes what it's
right.
really like to be a journalist. Oh, a ghost of the
Yeah,
media. Oh,
yeah,
what's it really like? How many, to get to, for me, yeah. For every 10 outreaches, only
yeah,
one is like, all right, I'll do your stupid show, murker you. The other nine are like, oh, kill yourself or die. Well, it's usually not like, there aren't like death threats, but it's like, I don't have time for this garbage. I've even had mentors or advisors or friends who are like, I'm not coming on your crappy garbage, low resolution, unscripted, raw show. That's for amateurs. And I'm like, really? He goes, yeah, this is not prime. You CNN wants to call me, Forbes magazine, Bloomberg. These are the media outlets. And I'm like, I thought your company sucks. And he goes, hey, wait a second. Well, yeah, but when it comes to media, people are like, well, I only want to talk to the real journalists. I don't want the scrappy Jewish guy with the MacBook Pro with the Calendly link. I need a filming crew. I've had this. Of course, I'll be on the podcast, but a month from now, and in person in your studio, and I'm like, no, we could do it right now. He goes, right now? No, I am not. You are beneath me. Yeah, but you found a way. You found a way through written journalism on a website to properly be respectful of a person's, kingly or queenly honor
um,
and time and you don't back down. You don't back down from the journalist battle. You push
Look,
through. I will get you, Chris Carter. You
one
will
thing I'll
push
tell
through.
you, one thing I'll tell you is I
Yeah.
have taken so many shots over the last 10 plus years that I lost count now.
Should we be
In fact,
taking shots? What is your advice to all those struggling founders, journalists, and media and tech
I
people?
think I think everything is persuasion. I don't call it sales, but sales is a very like tacky term. Oh, always be selling. No, you should not always be selling. You should always be pursuing or persuasion, right? Um,
Yes. But what? Explain your, give away your
yeah,
secrets.
I'm just
Uh,
gonna like
Think about
uh,
it.
put it all here. So I guess
Persuade.
like the way I do it is I don't just message people word off the bat. Um, like for example, let's say I would read their press releases they have done for their companies or in the media generally, or their thought leadership, and just read. I spend about 1 month, even 2 months most of the time, or 3 months sometimes, just reading through what they're posting on LinkedIn, what their office is posting, what companies they're backing, or what they're thinking about which region of the market, which sector, and if they've done any acquisitions along the way, or any investments, or anything. Even like I have even like done my reconnaissance, if you will, on Facebook to say like, okay, if they've had a kid, if they are going on a vacation, or Instagram. Of course,
CIA level. You're doing. Wait a second. Wait a second. Yawar Abbas is prowling like it's a CIA agent with the
yeah.
in a
I mean,
submarine
honestly,
in the Navy.
so one thing my family always says one thing like, yeah, or if a person has even logged on to the internet once in their life, you'll find them. It's it's very cliche, but I guess it's become like that. And yeah, I mean, it's all about the research that you do, because you only
Yeah.
get one shot, right?
You only get one shot.
You
It's
only get one shot.
Eminem. You only get Eighth Mile. You only get 8 Mile. You only
Yeah,
get one shot.
yeah, you only get one shot.
You like journalism, or you want to throw yourself out of a window?
Um, I'm still very introverted actually. I don't like a lot of people say like let's do a podcast or interview. I never do it. You're the first one that I'm doing it with.
What?
But only because Bordy, because you came to Bordy, and I have this like level of like trust built with Bordy and the people it's already recommended to me over the years.
40, 40,
So
40.
Bordy,
Sorry,
yeah,
go on. I'm interrupting.
yeah. So, and I thought like maybe, and I actually I asked Bordy for a good 20 minutes. I'm like, okay, do I have enough, or is my story compelling enough that like other people want to hear me just talk? And then I asked my family, like, you know what, you should at least try it, because usually almost you're the one putting people in a hot seat. So why don't you be in the hot seat yourself today? And yeah, so today I took my shot on podcast too. But
You've turned down other opportunities to be. Oh, you like being the guy who is
yeah,
who
I
sets.
like
Why
I like
why do you like the
weighing.
other side? You like to be the other guy. You like to be the
Yeah.
host.
And look, so one thing I always do is, and this is something that traditional mainstream media does. The first 10 minutes of any interview that I record, and then I publish in writing, the first 10 minutes I don't record that at all. And in those first 10, 15 minutes, they will tell me about like how their families are doing, or like um, if they like, or if like what they have for breakfast, how's their morning been, or their kid off to school, or they're busy, or the morning was busy, or this is what they had done last night. Because they know that those 10 minutes that they talk to me about anything, it never goes anywhere. I never publish it. I don't talk about it ever in public. And like it breaks some barriers, because when you're doing any show, any interview or whatever on online virtually, you have a very low error of margin,
Mm.
right? because you have to take into consideration
Yeah.
the lag time between what you're saying, what the video call is relaying, and what they're hearing, and they might be
Yeah.
distracted in 100 other ways. Um, it's not easy. I mean, I'm sure, like, even right now, you're thinking what questions to ask me in your head. I might not be able to see that on your face, but it's
No,
going
I'm
through your
on your
mind.
LinkedIn right here. I'm on your LinkedIn. I'm studying
Exactly.
you. I'm Yawar Abbas. Okay. I'm trying to infiltrate you. I'm seeing that you're a host of Entrepreneur for 4 years, 4 months. Oh, you're a journalist. You always got to be careful. Whenever, note everyone, be careful. Whenever you interview a journalist, a reporter, someone, a media professional, a host, a podcaster, they know what time it is. They've been around the bend. You got to be careful. You got to prepare. You got to, this a
Yeah.
veteran of
So,
war. You got to be
for me,
careful.
like when I do my interviews, like when I do my interviews or thing, like I'd say 80% of it's preparation,
Yes.
and like 20, like maybe 10% is you taking the actual shot of messaging them or emailing them, and 5% is the actual doing the interview, which is like the last part, right?
I said that to someone. I said it to three people last week. I'm like, that's great that you want to do a podcast, or that's great that you're doing a podcast, but the hard work is not the interview. The hard work is not the video recording where the person's on. That's the nothing. That's the tip of the iceberg, man. You gotta
Yeah.
know first. You have to know who you're talking to. You can't just. It's not like I just push, click, and then magically it happens. No, I had to, and I met you before, and you were on a go bus, and we chatted, and I was trying to be like, and we're sizing each other up, and then I had a feeling. I'm like, this guy's very, he's not only is he a journalist, but he's been doing this. This is not his first rodeo. He's
No,
interviewed people
it's not
before,
my first rodeo.
and you've been a recruiter. You do international student recruiting for years.
Yeah. So I
Yeah,
still do it. It's actually our like company I work for part time now, not like full time. But yeah, so meeting all these students over the years gave me one insight that parents, no matter which country they are in, they're willing to sell their jewelry, their livestock, their land, their house, their farmland, just so they could send their kids to for better education and a shot at a better life. And
so true.
parents would rather skip on meals themselves, but they would still make sure that their kid is educated. And just to sort of tie back to my own experiences, I remember coming when we're new to Canada, and both my parents were working full time. Um, I was okay in studies, but like my math skills weren't that great, because how the traditional school system works, I never really fit into it. So I remember my parents making a couple of $100 a week, and then half of it would go towards paying a math tutor. And I always used to think that, like, even though, like, they are, I mean, quote unquote, for lack of a better word, struggling themselves, but they don't want me struggling in school, and they still want me to do well. Even though, like,
Mm.
now I can calculate numbers pretty fast in my head, but it's not like the traditional school math that they teach you. And I remember one time asking a teacher in high school in my math class, I'm like, look, could you please tell us if any of this applies to the real world, about sine, cos, tan, and
Trigonometry. I hated
right,
that stuff.
like Pythagorean,
Yeah.
whatever. I'm like, unless I'm building architecture, like design and whatnot, this does not apply to the math you study in school does not apply to 95% of situations that we're in real life.
It's so true. I actually did math tutoring from the ages. My dad first got me started in it when I was 14 years old. I was the math tutor who would have come to your house to steal some money from your parents at $30 an hour. Oh, I feel so
Yeah.
guilty. And your background, your nationality. You are what? Where?
Yeah, so I was born in Pakistan, but I've been in Canada since 2003 and just lived here since then and built a life here.
You're happy yourself and your family or extended family. They're happy to be live in Toronto, Canada.
So, yeah, I mean, look, apart from the winters that we have to face,
Yeah,
and
what
like,
the?
and like that big snow plow that comes in and makes a mountain of snow in front of your driveway. Apart from that, everything's good. Yeah, we're
What do you
happy here.
miss the most about your homeland, your Pakistan, your
Um,
country?
I haven't lived there enough. I was 13 years old when I came here.
Oh,
So
okay.
I've lived in Canada more than I lived there. I mean, I go visit once every year, I mean, for vacation and whatnot. But once you've lived in a place like Canada, regardless of the situation going on in the last couple of years, once you get used to a certain way of life, it's difficult to maneuver around a whole new life in a different country, even if you were born there.
Which language? What languages do you speak fluently?
So Sindhi, Punjabi, Urdu, and English.
You never studied French. You moved here when you were 13. You never learned French.
I tried. I'm like, do I master English that I really, really need to master, or do I learn French and ruin both? So now I regret not doing French. I'm like, because had I done French, I probably would have had like way more opportunities than I than I than
Yes.
I I've gotten over the years. But I feel like if I were put in a like environment where people are constantly speaking French, or the labels or the billboards of French, I think I'd learned that pretty quickly. The only thing away that kept me not going to Montreal was the cold weather there, because it's way colder than
Yeah.
Toronto.
Yes.
Like, I already don't like the cold as much. And yeah, so, but it is something which is on the card for me. I do want to learn it because it is a skill. I mean, knowing, no, I feel so. Um, my parents always said knowing a language is knowing complete knowledge of something, and it's a whole doctrine and a whole discipline on its own.
So
Uh,
interesting. And those languages, the other three languages, these are commonly spoken languages in different regions of Pakistan, or
yeah, yeah.
could you
So,
teach us about them? Yeah.
yeah. So in Sindh, people speak Sindhi. In Punjab province, because so India and Pakistan both have Punjab provinces in it, right? So I'm talking about the Pakistan Punjab side on Pakistan. So they speak like Hindko, Saraiki, Punjabi, and then like people who speak Urdu are pretty much like all over Pakistan. That, that's kind of like knowing. So Urdu is kind of like knowing English in Pakistan, and all the other dialects are like speaking like Spanish, French, Mandarin,
Oh,
whatnot.
there's
That's
a
about it.
main Urdu could be thought of as like a lingua franca or a main language throughout
Right,
Pakistan.
right, right,
And
right.
for those who are who know nothing about that part of the world, South Asia, can we say, of India and Pakistan and the surrounding area, what should they know? What do we need to know about that part of the world in its own culture and history and conflict?
Sure. So it's not what's portrayed in mainstream media. It's completely far apart from that, actually. And I'm just trying to like say it in a way which does not piss off a lot of people, but
Oh,
it's not what
sorry.
you see in the media.
Whatever
No, no,
you
it's
wish to
fine.
say or not
No,
say.
it's fine. It's fine.
Uh,
So,
People get
what?
pissed off whatever we do anyhow, but
Yeah.
kosher pissing
So,
off.
yeah. So it's not what you see in media, and it's completely the opposite when you visit there.
Why?
Um,
Why? In what sense? In what sense?
One thing that I've learned in doing my own little independent journalism in my own right is that media sells on hype and controversy, right? Uh,
Mainstream media must is
mainstream
yeah,
media, yeah.
mainstream media.
And I think people are smart enough that they could put the dots together, but mainstream media generally runs on hype and controversy. Both sell, right?
Well,
And
you
yeah,
have to get ads. You have to sell your ads to pay for
right,
the journalist's coffee and fancy camera and fancy woman's slutty clothing as she reports, misinterprets everything, and the guy's fancy suit and his mistress's caffeinated beverage. You hate mainstream news. You hate it.
I don't hate it. It's just that I look at it and I read it just from like as a grain of salt
Okay.
because and I feel like and one thing I want to say today is you know how we're potty trained once when we're growing up.
Yes. Hopefully.
Media training has should become as essential as potty training now, and like the elites of the world, they teach their kids how to talk to media, how to read media, what to say in the media,
Yes.
because narrative building is so important nowadays. And if you look at any like large big families in the world today, they all know the art of media. Their kids know about media. Their families know how to talk to media, how to a journalist. Because majority of people, no matter which walk of life or ethnic background you have in Canada or in the US, um, were not taught how to interact with the media. And media training is so important that like what you're seeing on social media, you have to be able to discern and differentiate the games you're playing, the stuff you're reading.
Yeah.
And one thing I've mentioned even to the libraries that I go every now and then, like, why are you allowing kids to play violent games in the library? Like,
That bothers
and
you. Why? Why does that bother you so much? The children and the violent games and media access.
because kids become hard hearted. And then like, because if a kid at a very young age says things like, "Oh, let's decapitate this person in a game or we will win this level," then that builds up over time and that creates a lot of like stiffness in people's emotions, and that builds from a very young age.
Do you feel that growing up in Pakistan or the values back home were those good values?
I think good and bad values are everywhere. It really depends on which ones you take on. I didn't really have much of a social life even when I was in school in Pakistan. I mostly used to spend time reading and writing. Um, and I guess what I do now is pretty much was a precursor to what I did back then. And I just
You're
know what I
saying that
know.
you're an introverted journalist? That's a
Yeah,
contradiction. Oh my God, I'm
I
calling the
don't.
rabbis
So
immediately.
look, I spend a
Police
lot
are
of
standing
time
by.
contemplating. I just spend a lot of time contemplating about things that are going on and just like read and read about them. I've actually written dozens of articles for like Canada's regional news publication, like Mississauga News, Brampton Guardian. I've written on all topics like the 407 should be owned by the people and not just large conglomerates.
Amen.
Um,
Honestly, what
yeah,
could you shed some light on the 407 to those who are
I mean,
unaware? Could you
I
tell
mean,
a background?
I, I mean, I can't comment politically because I don't know what goes on there. But as like as the user of 407,
Yeah.
I think that it should be owned by people
Yeah, why
because
do you have to pay $30 to go on a highway for
right,
20 for 30
right,
minutes? You pay like $1 a minute or whatever the going rate is. Who has a
yeah,
paid toll highway? What I know in America there are these extremely abstract, like for example in Florida where I've been a number of times, you have like a interstate like I-95, you have these massive interstates. Okay, so you pay 50 cents. They don't You don't have a transponder in your car. You drop a quarter in a bucket, 2 quarters in a bucket, and then you drive for 20 minutes on a highway. That's a toll fare. They don't have fancy, we're going to milk you with interest rates and we're going to put a transponder in your car and a bunch of, and I'm Jewish, so I can say it. But like, oh my God, clearly those Jewish 407 owners are milking everyone to death. Not only do you have to pay gas for your car and insurance and at least, but then they milk you for every mile, every kilometer. Why are you so angry that you want to strangle the highway itself?
I mean, look, I feel like it's a decision that our leaders are more apt to make. But as a user of the highway, I think it should be owned by people. And people could go read my article online. It says exactly what could be done without shaking and moving a lot of things. And
Your article. Would you send me the link so I can put it in the
Yeah, I
description
can
below?
send you a link. Yeah, just give me a second.
Drop it on LinkedIn so I can look at it right now in real time. Take your
Yeah,
time.
sure.
We're gonna read Yawar Abbas's introverted journalist article.
It's only
My
250 words, so
LinkedIn
that's
chat
not bad.
is flashing. I'm gonna get it right now. Oh, it's a long link. Okay, we're gonna go Mississauga.com. You're writing for Mississauga.com to the editor. You're one who writes to the editors. You are
Yeah.
a spoken person. You don't take a punch and lie down. You want to express yourself. You have what to say. You're not just living in Canada. You're gonna light the house on fire. I love it. Yes.
Yeah,
Have you
so that's the
always
one I
been
wrote.
amazing? And okay, so to the editor. Oh, you want to get someplace in the GTA. What do you do if you are short on time? You zip across the paid, in quotes, Highway 407. The Ontario government's selling one of Canada's strategic assets to a handful of pension funds, God forbid, and a foreign entity for a meager $3.1 billion is a litany of mistakes. The Ontario government's short-sightedness and haste has resulted in Canadian taxpayers paying a high price. The nationally strategic asset is now worth a hefty $30 billion. Wait a
That
second.
was 4 years ago, but the price has not increased of the asset itself.
What is a letter to the editor? What exactly is this about here?
So this is essentially like where you are raising your concerns about what's going on around you, and it's like and it's sort of making your point out there as opposed to just venting to people in your house and pissing them off. So I saw, hey, so
Okay.
my family always used to say like, yeah, if you have such a big problem about 407 being a tolled highway, just write somewhere, just somewhere. I'm like, okay, well, sure, I'll just write it here. And so when you
Wait. Someone who said that to you? Who said that to you?
my family, like my parents and my siblings, so they're like, oh well, if you have such a problem with this, just write somewhere about it. And there's actually a process. So when you submit something to the editor, it goes through a process first, and then it depends on them if they want to publish it or not, because they also have to be careful to what to publish. And yeah, I mean, it's a process that you have to go through, and once you do a few of them, then you kind of build pattern with them. Like, hey, that this guy is deemed safe somehow, and then they still do the due diligence, but it's not as cumbersome as the first few ones are.
You have found a way, circling back to what we were saying earlier, Yawar, you found a way to penetrate the media circus, if you will, to
This was not the intent, and I didn't even know that I was working towards it.
Oh,
But
you're modest.
generally,
You're modest in your design. You have found a way without screaming on TikTok and without
No.
nonsense. You found a kosher way. You found a kosher, proper, fitting
Yeah,
way
yeah.
to express how you feel that reflects your opinion, but it's not a video on TikTok that goes out to a bunch of complaining fools who are doom scrolling. You're actually putting it on Mississauga.com. You are finding ways to vocalize your opinion using your journalist and high level academic training. Interesting. Should more people be doing this?
I'm not a trained journalist. I just uh, picked it up as a hobby, and one thing led to another. And like one thing that like another something which I want to sort of get into now
Yeah.
is I also mentioned it on our first call as well. So I actually have been building a brand called BRUH, which is a very popular line globally, but I have the rights for it in Canada to like legally use it. So essentially, I want to build bra into a precious moments company where bra is sort of present in your most precious moments of your life to the most mundane things that people do in their daily life. And I have done over 4,000 enforcements of the trademark across platforms like Etsy, Shopify, Temu, Shein, eBay, Facebook, Instagram, and the business makes um, about close to 90% net margin per transaction that we do, and we're growing by 15 to 20% month over month in a monthly growth. It's completely bootstrapped, no VC
What's the
money.
website? I want to go right now. What's the website?
Yeah, I can send you the website right
Yeah,
now.
yeah. Let's open this can of
And
worms.
I actually made the website fully by myself. I actually taught myself how to program too.
So interesting. Bra. Here we're learning about Yawar's company, Bra.
I
B
just
R
send you the
U
link.
H. He's sending me things in real time on LinkedIn, everyone. Is this, we are going into futuristic journalism here. With Bra, WITHBRUH.com. I'm going to put the link in the description. Ooh, a sexy yellow and purple and colorful website.
Yeah,
The,
so it's actually
interesting.
purple and white because the contrast palette goes. And I actually have a process for selecting palette colors. Like I would go on Google, like type with this color makes sense with that one, and then like if it because I believe that if a color sticks out to me as the end consumer, then people are more likely to go on the website, browse it, use it, and yeah.
This is so interesting. So I'm on withbroad.com and I'm scrolling down and there's a map that says 47 plus countries, 3 home markets, Canada, Pakistan, UAE. Tell me what this is all about, these maps and colors and shapes.
Sure. So the map essentially says, so I kind of took it as sort of like my own extension of my own life, where I was born in Pakistan, but then I moved to Canada and lived here for pretty much most of my life. And I also go to the UAE every single year for the last 10 years. So I'm like, these three countries have now sort of become my extended home, where in Pakistan I would go live for a month or two. The UAE I go for a few weeks. Canada I live in. So I filed abroad in Canada in 2024.
Registered
So when I
trademark.
filed
Okay.
the trademark, yeah, it was actually August 30th at 4:30 in the morning. I remember everyone at home was sleeping. I was in my room, so I did not want to turn on my room light, and I turned on my mobile phone's torch, like the torch light of my phone. I put that light on my credit card. I paid for the filing at Canada IP Office
Yeah.
website, and once I had gotten an email that I had secured the priority filing date, then I went to sleep around 5 in the morning, and then that's the story behind the first time when I filed it. And I remember looking out the window and I'm like, God,
Fascinating.
please make this one work. And I guess God listened and it did work.
How's it working? How are you? It's $500 Canadian for the one-time
Licensing, yeah,
licensing fee.
yeah. So this one is for people who do not circumvent my trademark and actually like ask for authorization first. And if you don't, then you would be meeting me and my team for enforcement. So yeah, $500 is so $500 was initially like was the starting point when I was just starting out. And now that we have had so much traction and track record, this price will go up eventually. But if someone's watching your podcast, I'm still prepared to offer them at this exact same price, $500,
Oh, we're gonna
only,
grandfather the
only,
rate.
only for your audience. But the price will go up next month.
And for those who aren't so aware, you're selling. You have ownership. You have a
Yeah,
registered
so I'll tell
trademark.
you how I got to it.
Yes.
So everything I do is all backed by data. It's all data driven. So I started looking. So bra actually started making like visible to me around like on Instagram, and I saw 5.2 million organic tags of bra in Canada alone. So I'm like
Okay.
that's one. So I'm like that's one data point. Then I take Go Bus purposely just so I can learn what people are wearing, what people are eating, what people are talking about. Because if I'm just driving in my car, I'm not gonna get that real first hand data of people. And I also used to hear my siblings say bra all the time. So I'm like there's something here. And then when I looked at the Canada IP office trademark registration, no one had ever filed it. Nothing ever had happened. So I was the first one to file in Canada, and the process was for just over a year. And my goal is to build Bra into a precious moments company, which sort of mimics the smiley company, which took a smiley emoji and turned it into a $500 million pure licensing company every single year that they generate. So I learned their
Oh,
entire
okay.
playbook, and
Interesting.
and I didn't learn licensing or branding from anybody. So the Somali company's playbook is something which I that sort of become my Bible per se for branding licensing. And I studied their model for 2 years straight. And I'm like, I know enough to look for what's happening. And
You're talking
yeah,
like, yeah,
that's the story.
just on like the stats aspect of your website, and I'm learning, getting an education myself. You're seeing 2 billion mentions in Canada, like two
Across the world, yeah.
across the world. Across the world, there are. How does it work with a registered trademark? How do you enforce that?
So mine is for class 43, which is your like cafes, restaurant, delivery only platforms. And I also have it in class 25, which is your apparel, clothing, and whatnot. So anyone that even uses this word bra on anything to do with Canada selling it anywhere, then they can legally not sell it unless they have a written and a paid off license authorized by my company.
Interesting, interesting. I do you feel this is a good move as a business? What are your thoughts? Like, is this? Are you making lots of dead queens, or are you losing them? Is this a
Yes,
good one?
no, I'm not losing. That's what I mentioned a while ago, just
Yes,
a few minutes ago. The business makes 90% margin on every transaction
ninety
that we
percent,
process, and
90%.
we have no overhead cost. We have very little overhead. We're completely bootstrapped. No VC money,
Yeah.
which means I can just decide when to zig, when to zag.
Wait a
Um,
second. If I buy an item, you have a 90% margin on
yeah,
any
because
shirt,
because because I
hat.
don't sell the apparel myself. I just license the brand to other existing retailers and manufacturers or like small sellers across platforms. Which means I have the rights to the
Yes,
brand, but they have to pay for it to use it. Otherwise, they will get hit by my enforcement team.
of course. And but you're talking everything here: shirts, sweatshirts,
Oh yeah,
jackets,
it is very
flannel,
expensive. It
shorts,
is very
hats,
expensive. It's very expensive.
water bottles, gloves, restaurant names. Wait, so I can buy. you have absolute ownership of the four-letter word,
Yeah,
and
and
anytime it appears, they have to ride on the your 407. You have
yeah,
turned the
that's
table
my
against
407.
them.
I like the way you put it, but yeah, that's my 407 essentially. And
Brilliant. And water bottles and food packaging and digital gaming integrations and Web3 assets and meme licensing. Good Lord. The should everyone be running to the intellectual property office?
so one thing I'll tell you, which I think is going to blow up in the next couple of years, as AI decimates industries and breaks patents, because now an AI could break any patent in a matter of hours or months, right? So the only thing that's
Okay.
left for people for still wealth creation is two things: their own personal brand and the trademarks. Because trademarks over time accumulate because you only have to renew a trademark every 10 years, which means you pay one fee which covers you for a decade, right? And as you build your brand or your trademark, it accumulates more value, intrinsic brand equity value over time. And people will become personal brands on their own. And one Hollywood actor also trademarked his entire self. So which means if any like large chatbot or AI company or even Hollywood tries to use his picture or his graphic, they'll have to pay um, that actor. And with one thing I realized a few years ago, that once you build a personal brand in today's world, if you know your reality, people will pay you. But if you don't know your reality, you'll have to pay others for their reality that they have figured out. I mean, we can argue that most of the
Interesting.
value in Tesla and SpaceX is not because of the companies themselves, but rather how what Elon Musk can pull off these crazy moves and make things happen, right? So he knows
Interesting.
his reality and he understands why he exists, what he exists for. So if more people understand and realize who they really are and what they're good at, then the world will pay them for it. Which is why people will file the trademarks of their personal brands over time. In the next 5, 10 years, I think about 100 million people globally will file their personal brands as brands that they want to build and grow. Because companies come and go, personal brands will never go out of business.
This has been fascinating. Okay. This has been educational, fascinating, and we've crossed
Always.
some imaginary lines, confronting what journalism and the highways in Toronto region are. This has been fascinating, Yawar, and amazing. And we will pause here. We will pause
Sure,
here, and we will
sure,
do this again, perhaps in
sure.
the future. Amazing, excellent.